Oh, we got numbers.
Hey, welcome to ClevelandMoto podcast number 406. I'm drinking bourbon so you don't get the sound effects. Sleepy's with us with a frog water. We're good. To my immediate left is...
Chris Smith.
To his immediate left is...
Steve Sleepy.
And to his...
Johnny Mac.
A very small, tight group of four here today.
Drinking the blackout stout.
Oh, blackout
Nice,
stout.
yeah.
Very nice.
But it is a day to celebrate, is it not?
It's a day to celebrate many reasons.
True, true.
First things first, it's Johnny Mac's birthday.
There.
Happy birthday, Johnny!
I can't believe you made it this far.
Me neither.
Yeah, right? And so you're 52.
52s.
52s. That is
He should be 54,
fantastic.
but he was sick for 2 years.
Right. Yes.
I'm joining you this May. We're going to be right in the pocket.
Right. Exactly. So I turned 54 this year.
Right.
And, I live a certain lifestyle. Mm-hmm. We're not going to ask Chris how old he is.
He's 35. He just lives a rough 35.
He just did a few of those over again.
Yikes. Yeah.
He just did a couple. Got a couple of bonus laps. So happy birthday, John.
Thank you.
The groundhog saw his shadow.
I did not.
You did not. Right. There was no chance of me seeing a shadow this morning. It's fucking Cleveland this morning.
I was at work before dawn.
You were?
Oh, yeah, no.
It's...
And you were at work before Hoff.
No? Well, Hoff goes to work at like 4:35.
Jesus Christ. Man. He's a
That's why
he's
he's
a
always
mutant.
falling asleep.
Yeah, because wakes up at 4 o'clock or whatever. Yeah, it's not good.
Is it necessary? Like, it doesn't seem like it's necessary to be there at 4.
He just has to get out of the house.
Listeners, that was a side-to-side head shake.
Yeah.
That was a
Negative.
negatory, good buddy. Yeah, so we've had a lot of stuff going on. I mean, a lot of shit going on.
It's not really ever necessary. For
Things might move better if you just stay at home, right? But it is your birthday.
Yeah.
And so we will give you salutations throughout the course of the podcast. But the first salutation I'm going to give you is we've been friends for a very long time. Very long time. I know that I don't say it nearly enough, but John is a better shot than I am. And anybody
I tell you
who's...
what, I've really worked on that a lot. I know I can't ride faster than you,
Oh, my God.
so I've tried to pick my sweetest spot.
Man, my whole life I always picked first
Right.
at only one thing, shooting.
Yeah.
And I've spent a lot of money. And my parents growing up, we didn't have much, but man, firearms was always number one.
Yeah.
We might have had government cheese, but we had homemade ammunition, right? We had tailor-made, man. We were it. And growing up my whole life, shooting was like, that was it. Yeah. You could get all D's on your report card, but when it's time to load up and put them down range, you'd better be on your game. And don't you dare waste a bullet. That bullet cost us a lot of money.
What if your dad was like part of some weird like group that's it's unknown,
he was.
but like you have to have perfect marksmanship or else you're not like part of the group anymore, and that's why he was so hard.
Exactly my group. Growing up my household, did you have 100 guns hanging from the walls in your basement?
A lot, but not that many.
Okay, over 100 all the time, Dad. It was a point of pride. Okay, so I assure you that at 4 years old in the basement, I'm running a blender, mixing drinks for my dad and his cronies while my mom was giving permanence in the other side of the basement. And whatever time it was, my dad would say, Philip, go grab a 1911. And I'd go grab a 1911, Colt 45. And my dad would say, okay, who wants to put up $10 that they can beat the kid?
Your dad was hustling.
Yep. And I would have to tear down and reassemble the 1911 faster than any of his friends. But my dad was a hustler, so my dad would make sure all of his friends went first. And my dad would always say, just enough to win. We don't want to scare these guys away. Because we'll get them on the first round, and then after a few drinks, we'll get them again.
Yeah.
And then we'll get them again.
Leave them some room for confidence.
Leave them some room for confidence. Exactly. And my dad had me hustling his friends for cash on assembling and disassembling. And we're talking about weird old Smiths, lemon squeezer Smiths and 44 Russian, like weird double action weapons that no child should ever be handling, and yet a 4-year-old
nor proficient at.
Exactly. So that was our household. So yeah, Steve, when you say I grew up in a weird cult where you had to shoot a certain level or you weren't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were the one kid that, like, when he got to school and they found a gun, you're like, I really didn't know that was there.
Well, I did look, I took a gun to show and tell for first grade. Carried it to school.
Yeah. Probably was normal.
Got in trouble a little bit. But it was a Civil War firearm, and I told the whole story, right?
I mean, think back, though. Like, in the Senate, I remember one of my kids up the street that I grew up with, he carried around a shotgun on Halloween because he was a hunter.
Right.
Well, it was
John
no big deal.
Grew up in a very gun-friendly environment.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in Westmoreland County. Well, if you look it up, it's the number 3 in the nation for gun ownership.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, guns very prolific.
Yeah.
I mean, we would load up, we're going to go hunting, so we'd throw our hunting jackets on and load up all of our 22s and go walking through the middle of town.
Yeah, that's
off, which you could walk from the edge of town up into the hills, and then you're, game on. But
the first time I went shooting with John, I was like, oh, well, okay, the man knows his guns. Mm-hmm. And that's unusual to begin with. But then within 2 or 3 rounds, I was like, fuck. And I was like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, his one-handed bird.
And we were adults now. We could afford to spend money on ammunition.
Yeah.
But right off the tick, I was like, Jesus Christ. John has always been just a little better than me. And I think he's pulling a long hustle too, because many times we've gotten into shooting competitions.
$10 every time.
Where I think he may have thrown one just to take the heat off. But yeah, John, every time we've ever gone shooting, you've always pulled some magic out of your ass. Shooting clay birds one-handed on a bird you threw,
and then
that's some horse shit right there.
To back up the proficiency, so then you drag your daughter out, and then she's good.
Yeah.
She was hitting stuff.
She's all right. We got to work on her a little more. She's on her way.
Well, it's been, and when we were children, we grew up, there was a term called sportsman.
Yeah.
Right? And a sportsman, when we grew up, really kind of was an interesting term, right?
Yeah.
And John is absolutely a sportsman. There's no doubt about it. John is, by 1970, according to Hoyle, he's a sportsman. And I've always enjoyed time spent with you because it's just a joy. It is just a fucking joy.
I think to go back there and actually get that title of sportsman, you'd have to have at least 2 to 3 generators. And
yeah, no shortage of camping equipment.
Right.
Yeah.
All of it.
Absolutely. So
like my dad said, you need a pair and a spare.
Yeah. We've always.
I love it.
You got to have 3 of everything.
That's right.
Turned out really good when he died, and there were 3 sons.
Yeah.
We each got one of everything.
That's perfect.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Oh, that is perfect. And the other thing about John is like the Boy Scout motto, be prepared. Mm-hmm. Anytime you travel with him, and it can be anything, at 5 o'clock in the morning, the exact right illegal firework shows up. Mm-hmm. And you're like, you holding out on me. We've been here for 3 fucking days. How come I didn't know about this? No, because the time wasn't right.
Right.
So
or he forgot that they were in the RV and he found it.
It could be. It might be. It could very well be. But that's one of those things when you say you've got a friend that's a sportsman. Yeah, John is the sportsman,
I was a fat little kid, and so part of going to the 22 shoots meant that I got to go to the pizza dinner afterwards. I like shooting the guns and everything. I was always looking forward to getting the pizza afterwards.
Well, but
my dad letting me drink some of his beer that he doused with salt. Back, everybody in the day, cheap beer, they'd salt it down.
To get the head to come up.
Here, have some. I'm like,
oh, boy, man. And now they just say that's electrolytes.
That was every Wednesday night.
Well, it's absolutely one of those. It's absolutely one of those to say the term, sportsman of the highest order. Because anytime we go and do anything, whether it's motorcycle related, if you want somebody to show up and chop wood, John's there. If you want somebody to show up and help you work on a canoe, John's there. All the time. If you want to burn a barn down, John's there.
You got a lot of good ideas on that one too.
Oh, one of our high water marks in our friendship was helping Steve Hofford get rid of a barn. and just they don't write a rule book. They don't make a guide for taking down a barn. Oh. But by God, we found chains and winches and falls and tractors and like the shit that we found. It was like we showed up.
It was like pioneer days.
It was pioneer days. We showed up with nowhere near enough gear to take a barn down. And it turns out we had exactly enough gear to take a barn down.
Right. And enough fuel.
15 gallons of stale gas will do it.
Yeah.
Well, the propane tanks helped.
Yeah, I was about to say the handmade.
The welding tanks didn't hurt.
800-gallon propane tank.
Ouch. Yeah. So that's
My
all.
tip for everybody is aim small.
Aim small. Right. That and impress them. Right. Yeah. Don't
try to pick the smallest thing you can aim at, and that's the best thing.
And that's the best thing.
You might hit it.
And on the barn,
Yeah.
we could be seen taking that barn down all the way from the fire department.
We could. From at least one fire department, maybe 3.
if not 3.
I knew there was trouble when I saw the sheriff stop.
Right. Yeah.
And he's like,
And when the sheriff left,
he fucked up.
then you know we're done. You're done. He ain't going to
that was
get
the
a sandwich. Yeah. Yeah, he ain't going to get a sandwich. He's going to
go get
say,
his friends.
and he might even use the phrase, "I saw it with my own eyes," and that's all you need, man. Because all those lonely volunteers out there are looking for something to play with. Overtime. That's exactly right.
And they got it.
Damn. Oh, that was all of them. I think we counted 13 fire trucks. It's pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. Nobody was moving down that road. And of course, I didn't realize until later what a busy road that is.
Yeah.
And that, like, we weren't doing it on some back road nobody's ever going to talk about. We were doing it on the road.
You know what's weird about that area?
Yeah.
And I'm starting to realize this more and more. I'll be completely lost on some fucked up road.
Yeah.
And then it just comes out by Steve's area.
Yes.
Like you're just like in the middle of nowhere. You're like, I'm just going to follow this road. And you're like, oh, I'm right here.
I'm there.
What the fuck?
I know exactly where I am.
Yeah.
I all of a sudden remembered
right
the fuck where I am. So that's my salutation for John on his birthday.
Very nice.
Again,
Thank you very much.
one of my record-setting best friends. Right up there at the top. I'm a terrible friend. I will be the first to admit it. I don't chat on the phone. I go home and I'm a hermit sometimes. And that's it. And
You don't tell stories.
I don't tell stories. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm a very, very low impact, low effort friend until I start talking. And then the price can never be high enough.
I
have to say, if I was ever going to rob a bank, it'd be with you.
Well, yeah. So, we know there's teams for things that we do. That's it.
My favorite thing about John is like if he comes over, we're hanging out or doing something. Sometimes I wonder with certain people, like if they understand my humor, if it's like weird.
Yeah.
And I don't have to worry. John,
You can let it all hang out.
Yeah, exactly. You can't go too far wrong with John.
Yeah, that works out pretty well.
Yep. And even though we do have different political views on a lot of stuff,
Sure.
we will sit and
We
will exchange.
How it's supposed to be?
Yeah, I know, right? I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I would never suppose that I'm right about just about anything. As I've been proven wrong, I've proven myself wrong so many times, and sometimes you really think you're like, oh, that's the way, but you got to listen to everybody.
Yeah.
And one of my things, and I tell my daughter this, is if somebody gives you advice, just take it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't cost you.
It doesn't cost you anything.
And at least you two agree on what we're doing.
Right.
And if two men agree on something, you can do just about.
We can get a lot done.
So just go along with somebody.
It's absolutely true. And we and part of our silly podcast, part of this thing that we can't believe that people listen to. We got our first, I know if you listened to last week's podcast, and we talked about this crazy dumb idea of somebody giving us $20 a month. And all we have to offer them is that they might be able to talk on this podcast for 10 minutes.
That's interesting.
We had our first person sign up at the $20 a month.
All right.
Yeah, the fucking legend.
Okay, we'll see you in 6 months.
And you know what?
We could bend.
This particular listener, and I'll say his name because it's Screp Talk.
I like that. That might be my word of the day. Every day when I wake up, there's a word that comes into my mind, and sometimes it's just a name or something like that.
And fuck, I woke up. I'm sorry.
Screp Talk. Screp Talk. It does sound like, again, in the neighborhood I grew up in, it sounds like a race of people that would be featured on Star Trek.
or Land of the Lost.
Land of the Lost. Well, don't go down there. They're Screp Talks.
Well, no, there's a That's the
sleaze
screp,
stag?
that's screp talk. He's a sleaze stag.
Exactly. Yes.
Sorry, screp.
I look again. If you go down the streets if you go down the houses of the street I grew up on, or if you look at my cards from my paper route, we used to have cards.
Yeah.
Anyway, papers used to be delivered to your door, and the kids that would take your money had these cards, and they're like Manila envelope paper.
Punch them out.
And we punch them out the whole way around, right?
Well, we had tickets. You'd rip off.
Rip off the corner of the ticket. Yep. And on my paper route cards, it was hilarious because it was Romulac, Giblock, Sharetti, Hosian,
what national?
Scoury.
All over the ball yard. These are Cleveland names.
Sharetti.
Yes. And I mean, my neighborhood that I grew up on, in Wycliffe, the street that we moved to, we left Collinwood where it was either leftover Italians holding on for dear life, right? Or the new black folks that were moving in that were being sold very, very affordable housing next to the places where they were working. Right. And when we moved out of that neighborhood and we moved into Wycliffe, Wycliffe has a huge Italian community. Huge. I mean, Our Lady of Mount Carmel's got a lot of power there. Yeah. And that's where the IA Hall is, and that's where the bocce tournaments are and everything else.
Oh, yeah.
But it also has a massive Slovenian contingent. And that's who works in the factories, who lives on the north side of the tracks, the cheaper houses.
My wife's family's Slovenian.
Yeah. And so you have way too many consonants.
And Karst.
And we had Harudax and Hludax.
Well, and my dad grew up.
Cry.
My dad grew up in Garfield Heights, and every time we go there, I remember I'd go up and down the street, and there was Sukshinsky. Yeah. Then there was Lewinsky or all skis. The whole fucking area was all skis.
Yeah.
Peggy has a friend who's Repchinsky.
Repchinsky.
Yeah.
Well, that's what my name used to be, Shukshinsky, and then he changed it when he was in the military because he wasn't getting mail. There was too many Polish guys with all the skis, so he just chopped it at the cinch, and the rest left.
And cinch.
And he got his mail.
Oh,
so
my God.
what was it?
Shukshinsky. CHINCHUSKI.
Nice.
No, wait. CHUCHINSKI.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
Didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think
you walk like you got a little pole in you.
Yeah. And obviously,
would you like a little pole in you?
and I can take
Ever
it.
had Polish sausage in a can?
Do you want some?
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all fair.
Explains a lot, don't it?
It does. It does. It really does
Puts
clean
it
up
all
a lot.
together.
So this week, we had a visitor at the shop, and a fella comes into the shop, completely unannounced, literally out of goddamn nowhere.
And what month is this?
Now.
And what temperature? It's
cold. Like
0.
yesterday, 18-ish tops.
Yeah.
And so this fellow walks in, and Chris has been, doing a little freelance here. And so Chris is doing a little freelance, and Chris just pops his head up and is like, "Hey, what the I thought maybe Chris had invited the fella because they clearly know each other.
Yeah.
You didn't invite him.
JG. Jason Jocko.
Jason Jocko. And Jason Jocko shows
probably
up.
best friends in 2 seconds with this guy, right?
Oh my God. So guy shows up, and go ahead and tell the story.
So Jason Jocko runs a original.
Finane.
Pardon me?
Finane.
Finane.
Giacomo Finane.
Your grandma, my grandma, sitting by the fire. All right.
So he runs a mower shop over in Fairview Park, and I was his first customer. Well, and so I was one of his first customers. So I've known this guy for 15, 20 years, and so with mowers in the summer, in the winters he does snow blowers. Mm-hmm. So recently he bought equipment to make snowblower paddles. Rather than buying them, he makes his own, and he's got all sorts of dyes. And so he's selling those around the country through distributors. Here, pass that down to birthday boy. Ooh. Here's one for you. Wow. Here's one for you. Mm-hmm. So he comes in yesterday and hands this to Phil. Right. Actually hands 2 of these to Phil.
Right.
And that is a
License plate bracket.
whole bracket made out of, it's a flex.
Fucking
What we call in Pennsylvania, mine belt.
mine belt.
That would
Right.
be
Mine belt. Yeah. And the idea is so that you can have the back of your motorcycle that you ride in the dirt, even though God didn't intend for it to be ridden in the dirt. And you can mount your license plate to that piece of rubber, and then the top of the piece of rubber mounts to your license plate bracket. So your license plate is no longer a fixed entity. It is a flexible entity.
Like, so my SP250, that when we were in the mountains, down in the Blue Ridge Mountains, we were running so hard that my license plate cracked about an inch and a half on each side of it. I wonder if that
happens on the Lake Erie Loop all the time. You look back and half your license plate's hanging out because it literally has cracked.
Right.
Your tail light has disintegrated and a number of other things.
Yeah. Right. So this would add weight to the tail light, help it stop vibrating as much, and it might stop the plate from cracking.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah, that's fucking badass is what that is.
So we're going to put
cool.
a picture of that in the
in the show notes.
In the show notes.
Because I went to their website. I can't see that product listed. Well, they don't have a website per se, but but I went to their Facebook page and they don't talk about that. But I think that's a genius little item.
Well, I think with
hardware.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it comes with hardware. It's totally legit. And yeah, I used to take my Honda Elsinore that had a license plate bracket, and I'd run it off road, and 12 o'clock in a 252 stroke is going to happen. Yeah. And I'd folded my license plate so many times it got a split in it. Right?
That's the perfect place for those who's on a trailer.
Yes.
On your motorcycle trailer where you put the trailer up and it
drags the plate.
So it can flop around and not bend the plate all up and stuff.
Amen. Genius idea.
Does anybody know the heat resistance of these? Like, no, I'm serious. Like, could you put them between things or like near an exhaust? Not against it, but like near it or anything? Or
it's not silicone, but it's hard vulcanized rubber. So.
Yeah.
Like a decent amount of heat resistance?
Maybe.
So these are for you guys. So Jason's been knocking out these with different diameter center punches. Yeah. And he's trying to figure out what he can market them as. So I said,
it's a rubber fender washer is what it is.
Well, I said, so give me a bunch. I'll pass them out. Right. And then everybody take them home and think about them for a while. And then come on back in because it's easier for you guys to look at and say, oh, shit, I know what I could use that with.
Absolutely.
And then that would give him an idea as to where to market these things and stuff like that. So he's got different...
Well, and so, anytime you're putting a fender on a motorcycle to the frame of a motorcycle, put one of these bad boys between the fender and the frame and then run your M6 through it.
Vibration
isolation, exactly. Because I can tell you that most of the motorcycles that I've taken apart that are 30 years old had a piece of clear plastic there, a piece of nylon there, and it's turned into dust a long, long time ago. And this thing, man, especially if you're a Trail 70 enthusiast or a Amigo Chinese replica enthusiast, you should take a lot of the bolts and hardware off and put this between many points where metal touches metal.
Well, that's what I was just thinking. So, if you took two fender washers,
right,
and put them around one of these ones with the smaller hole, okay, and say you have like a Trail 90 or Trail 70 or something,
right,
and you run your motor mount bolts through these with the fender washers on either side.
Totally agree.
Now you're kind of rubber mounted the motor a little bit,
and if nothing else, you've turned what would be a instant shearing of a piece of hardware into probably an event that's going to happen a lot further down the road.
Right.
Because a big problem with a lot of these Chinese bikes is that the hardware may not be the same level of cromulence as the bike they're replicating.
Oh, we know that.
I
replaced every single fucking bolt on the ground. Including the axles, which bent.
But no harm, no foul. There is a place in the market for nice, big, like you said, that's mine belt. That is, and I mean, you get whatever kind of fucking hole you need in it. But even if you take this and you don't put a fender washer through it, you just put a 12 or 14 millimeter washer behind it.
Yeah,
you're still not going to get any.
No,
it's going to be awesome. So I'm a big fan. I think that's cool, and I can think of many places on dirt bikes where stuff like that would come in very handy. Or if you happen to have a 490 pound vibrating XR750, any big V twin that has a problem with the shakes, like me on a week sober.
I'm thinking like stationary equipment too.
Yep.
Like we use it for legs, like pads, like leg pads or something.
Oh yeah, you put 4 of these under your bench grinder. Yeah. Oh yeah. All right, that's where that's going to be. Yeah.
If you could get it the right way to countersink something, so you could screw it in the legs on furniture, so it wouldn't.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's a good. That's a great product.
Well, you'd have to glue it. You'd have to take a non-hold one, put it in, thing, and then.
I'm a fan. I mean, I think that's badass, and so I hope that Blizzard Blades, it's got a picture of a grizzly bear on it. What's wrong with that, right?
Oh, that's the blades for the...
that's the blades for the snowblower.
Snowmoblower.
Yeah, for the snowmoblower. Exactly. And yeah, I'm a fan of that. That's badass.
He's making flappers.
He's making flappers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's cool. So I dig it.
Before we run out of time, you got me all excited. Because you actually sent motorcycle material out today.
Well, we had our homework today.
I know.
Everybody got their homework today.
So I'm excited to hear about this. I was waiting all day. We got to talk about
We're saving all that for the very end.
Well, I want Phil to tell a story.
Which story, Chris?
You had a Porsche owner?
Oh, yeah. We had a guy we sold a couple of bikes to. And for the innocent shall remain.
Yeah, nameless.
So we're just going to call him John Blazer. And which has nothing to do with his real name, I'm sure. Sure. And so he's bought some scooters and stuff, and he has a bunch of Porsches and that kind of thing. And he's just a super nice guy. And he shows up to all of our Distinguished Gentlemen rides, and he shows up to the Mods vs. Rockers stuff. He's just a nice guy, always has been. And he's a professional dentist. Don't let that, don't hold it against him.
Sway your opinion.
Exactly, right? Super nice guy.
Does he have a black 911 with red and yellow stripes?
I don't fucking know, dude.
I just wonder, did people call him Doc?
Well, people might call him Doc. He's a dentist.
No, I know, but is his full-on nickname?
Who knows?
Jesus Christ, I don't know, man. I know one thing. He buys scooters from me and shows up at our events.
You said Porsches.
I don't go to Porsche events.
I used to. So
all right, well, yeah.
You can ask him next time.
I want to know.
Next time you go to a Porsche event, you see a guy.
Yeah.
Right. So, anywho, he's got some pretty nice Vespas, and he's got some pretty nice other motorcycles, and he lives out in Novelty, Ohio, and he's a dentist, so he can afford certain luxuries in life. And he came into the shop, and he wants to buy one of our Year of the Bunny 2023 Vespa 946s.
That's flash. It's okay.
So Vespa 946 is a $13,000 150cc scooter. Yeah, right? That's the noise you should make. What the fuck are you talking about? It's a bunny scooter. It's got a bunny on it. You're the rabbit.
Graphics, man.
Again, okay. But he's not the first guy, but he is the second guy to put down money on those. Wow. On that bike. He likes collectible bikes. And it wouldn't even be that this is his first 946. He bought a 946 in 2013, the first year of the 946. And the 946 is just this ridiculous Art Deco Vespa.
Did he ever put gas in it? Do you know?
Yeah, he rides it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he rides it.
So he's actual collector.
I think he put a kid on a bitch. I did. Really? I think he threw a kid on a bitch. Wow. Yeah.
All right. I like
Anywho, so he's in here and he goes, "Well, Phil, I bought something else." What'd you get, John? Well, you know what? I know that you're a lot like me and we own weird stuff. As he's pointing at my Moto compo, right? And he goes, "We own weird stuff." And I go, "Well, I'm near the top of that."
Yeah, guilty as charged.
And he goes, "Well, I bought a bike I don't think you've ever seen or you've ever heard of." And I said, "Oh,
this is interesting. That's 2 in 2 weeks or 3
seriously,
yeah,
right? I mean, come on, man.
This better be good.
This is going to be good." Yeah. He goes, "Well, it's made in Indiana." I said, "Oh, made in Indiana." And he goes, "It's
Goshen.
It's called a Janus." I said, "What?" And he goes,
Janus.
He goes, "Yeah, it's called a Janus." And he goes, "It's crazy. It's it looks like it looks like it's from another century." I said, "Oh, okay, John, that sounds great. I'm intrigued." Now, I had recently moved Chris's Janus from right here behind our podcast table to the front of the shop.
I saw it.
Because I wanted to change the room layout a little bit. And so I moved Chris's Janus way to the front of the shop. And so he starts telling me all about Janus. I'm like, "Oh, man." I said, I kind of, do they do like a 450? And he goes, "Oh, well, and a 250. I said, "Oh, did you buy the 450? I was just, I wanted to see if he was the guy that bought the 450.
The one guy, yeah.
And he goes, no, I bought the 250. I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." And I'm like, "But they're real antique bikes, right? They're antique." "Well, it's got a Chinese motor in it. It's got this, this Chinese motor, and it's a 250.
Hand built.
But it's a crazy bike." He goes,
"Lap of luxury.
It's
baby blue,
Amish and everything else." And I said, "Well, what color is it?" He goes, "Oh, it's It's the whatever, and he named the blue, whatever,
Charlevoix blue.
That's what he said. It was Charlevoix blue.
I love it.
I was like Walt's dress blue, like a Tucker or something, right? Yeah. And he goes Charlevoix blue, and I was like, oh, like a baby blue color. He goes, oh, pastel blue, sky blue. I said, okay. I realized I said baby blue.
Yeah.
We don't want to. He goes, oh yeah, and I said, wow. And so I started walking him, which I feel bad because he's got a cane.
Oh no!
But I'm going to walk him around my shop just for the punchline.
Sure.
So this punchline is going to cost him in pain.
Are you here watching this?
No,
he wasn't here. And so I walk him all the way around to the front of the shop, and I walk him to where he's right next to the bike. And he's telling me, he goes, oh, it's got a leather seat and stainless steel exhaust and the whole deal. And and I was like, man, I said, that sounds fantastic. And I said, yeah, but that's got to be 10 grand, Oh, no, it's not that bad. Nah, whatever. And I went, oh man. He goes, the one guy that was in the company broke off and he does performance kits for him and everything. And I said, wow. And he goes, so, hops it up so that 250s, the 250 can breathe. And I said, wow, that's really cool, man. And I said, and he's talking about it. And I said, wow. I said, I think I may have seen one of those, but I'm pretty sure it was like a military green color. And he goes, oh yeah.
Didn't he say there's none of those in?
That's what he said. He goes, I said, I saw one. It was a military green color. He goes, oh, there's none of them around here. You didn't see one. And I said, I'm pretty sure I saw one. And I said, it was a military green color, a Halcyon. And he goes, yeah, that's a Halcyon. And I said, yeah, leather saddlebags and, oh, yeah, you can get that. I said, and leather seat and handlebars, like a old beach bike, and it looks like a 1920s flat tracker. Yeah. I said, I know I've seen one of those. And I said, in fact, that's one of them, isn't it? And he
turns one right there.
I said, that's one right there, isn't it? And he turns around, and he looks at me, and he goes, oh man. And he goes,
did he think they were like exclusive or something?
Yeah.
Or
well, I mean,
they are.
How many people do you know that own one?
They are.
I know
right.
All the people that
exactly. We know 20% of their run from last year right now.
Exactly.
Right? As of now, we know 2 people.
And I'm fairly confident I've ridden next to one more than probably anybody else in the United States.
You hold the riding next to a Janus record.
That's right.
Well, then when I told...
Not to be confused with riding next to an asshole. Wait, no, you probably hold that record too.
Anus. But I had talked to John, and so I was, he's kind of giggling now. He's laughing. He goes, man, you took me around the block on that one. I was like, yeah, I wanted to.
Yeah, that was good.
I was like, I don't get
that. He had to appreciate the effort.
Oh, he loved it.
Yeah.
He loved it. And I said, but here's the thing. I said, how did you get yours?
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, yeah, I drove out there and picked it up. I said, oh, that's pretty good. I said, Chris rode his home. And he's telling me about all the hop-up kit and the hot rod kit. And I was like that. Yeah. and he goes, how did he get that? I said, as far as I can tell, the man installed it. Yeah. And he was like, what? And he went from being the coolest guy at camp because he had completely trumped me.
Yeah.
To being literally second best in a 2-dog race. And he knew that he was second best because everything he talked about, your bike has. And he went on about the leather ammo boxes on the side. And
you know, it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Is ever since you mentioned this guy,
yeah,
he's already got T-shirts made for the Janus or Ohio Club, or Ohio Janus owners of Ohio Club.
Is there a Janus?
I'm number one.
Yeah, you could be member number one.
Actually, I'm not though, because I was riding it out in Sandusky when I first got it. Some guy pulls up next to me and says, "Oh, 367." He says,
okay.
I'm a 152. I thought, oh, well, fuck. Okay.
So there is not, according to Google.
Should be Janus.
So there is not a I typed in Janus Club of America.
Yeah.
So you could start that. Trust me.
He'd be good at it too.
Hold on.
Okay.
I couldn't find Janus Club of America, but I did find the Janus Society.
Oh.
That can't be good.
But those are the old Janus.
The Janus Society was an early homophile organization founded in 1962 and based in Philadelphia. it is notable as the publisher of Drum Magazine, one of the earliest gay publications in the United States, and one of the most widely circulated in the 60s.
Chris is an ally, man.
And for its role in organizing many of the nation's earliest LGBT rights demonstrations. The Janus Society takes its name from the Roman two-faced god Janus of beginnings, endings, and doorways. It goes on to say the letters...
And rear entry.
It does go on to say the words BDSM no less than 100 times. So there you go. Janus is Janus. So there you go. So you can't... I recommend not using Janus Society.
You don't recommend they piggyback off
I don't think you should call your... You just leapfrog right into that. I don't recommend...
Well, we can use the back door then.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Just go around the back.
Just dive in
I just
first.
don't recommend you call yourself the Janus Society of Cleveland. Probably not a good idea. The Janus Society of Ohio might not be a good idea. Maybe the Janus Club of America? That might be okay. Janus Owners of Ohio is probably a good idea. But then you'd be the Jews. Or the Jews.
No.
JOOS. Janus Owners of Ohio is 3 O's. That's Jews. We don't get any more juice than that. What kind of juice you drinking there, buddy? But anyway, there you go. That's hilarious to me. But anyway, here you go.
Well, it's great that you walked them all the way down the line.
It was fun. And I get it. Very rarely in my life do I get to truly play with customers, in a nice, joyful manner.
Scuttled his ship.
He could take it. He could take it. Yeah. I've listened to him tell me Porsche stories more than once, so it's okay. He earned it. So that was fucking hilarious. So yeah, that's a good thing. When somebody says you got a rare bike, yeah, go ahead.
I was just this thing has me. So I used to, a long time ago when I worked at that recording studio, my boss bought like all these 2001 twin turbo Porsche 911s and all this shit.
Yeah. Right.
Then he felt bad, so for a bonus, he got me a 944 turbo off this dude. It was kind of a piece of shit, but I made it pretty good.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I joined the Porsche Club of America, and I started hanging out with my buddy Wes and all these other guys. And we go on to this shop down here called Autobahn Extremist. It used to be right over here.
Yeah.
So that dude, he let us work there a little bit. Then he would help us work on our cars and shit like that. So my car got pretty fast. I had like 390 horsepower to the rear wheels. So I would meet these guys on Sundays, and we'd do called the Columbus Run.
Okay.
And so you'd hit up here, you'd hit 71, and then you'd go as fast as you possibly can from here down to Columbus. And then whoever got there first didn't have to pay. And then it went down through the guys, and whoever last had to pick up most of the check where we ate, and then we'd run back.
Okay, fair enough.
Two of the guys.
Did you go to the Autobahn buffet at Zimmerman's or whatever?
No, actually, we went to some place on Gay Street. For some reason, I remember it being on Gay Street. But the two guys in the front were a 911, old school, like an 86 911. It had 1,000 horsepower. It was twin turboed, fucking crazy. It had a red and white stripe. And he had a box in the front that literally jammed radar for a mile in either direction. It was completely illegal and completely awesome. But his name was Doc, and he totally sounds like the guy you're describing, man.
Again, it's a small world, right? It is totally possible if you live in Cleveland to know pretty much all the other people that live in Cleveland. At least met them once or twice,
Yeah, but
it's uncanny.
It is.
Yes, it is. It is. It really is. So we have the AIM Expo coming up. And by the time people are listening to this, they're going to be like right on the doorstep of the AIM Expo. And the AIM Expo happens as often as they can make it happen. And it used to bounce around a little bit.
This year, you're going as just a tourist. You have no obligation.
That was my plan, right? My plan was to just float in there on my credentials. I wasn't even going to do a media pass. I was just going to be the owner of ClevelandMoto.
Just relish in the oracleness.
Yeah, exactly. Just go in there and be like, saw that coming. Talk to that guy, saw that coming. That guy told me he wasn't going to do that, and look at what he's imported.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a big part of it. And anybody who's ever traveled with me to like the Indy Dealer Expo and stuff, for years and years and years, it was at the Indy. It was the Indy Dealer Expo.
Pointing them out like Babe Ruth.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and there's been a few years where I've been like, they won't be here next year.
Right.
And they won't be here next year. Right. And look at that guy who used to work there. He's working there now. Yep. They won't be here next year, And that's what these shows are. So people think like it's going to be like the International Motorcycle Show thing that we used to do here at the IX Center every year.
I'm so sad that died. Somebody mentioned that the other day. Like, man, it really kind of sucks that they're not going to have that. And it really does.
Facebook reminds me every year, this weekend, Facebook reminds me that 11 years ago, we were loading bikes in and out of the IX Center. And there's always pictures of us in a blizzard, loading Moto Guzzis and Aprilias and motorcycles and Royal Enfields out of trailers that are covered in snow into a booth, and then being surrounded by our friends for 3 or 4 days. In a nice, well-heated environment.
I mean, that was 16 years ago. My daughter's 16 now. That it was my first show that I did for the VJMC.
That's right.
Where I had to go pick up. I had to personally rent a trailer from U-Haul, go pick up this DB's.
God, I remember that.
Douchebags.
Oh, I remember that.
Just because I was just trying to save the space so that it wouldn't go away.
Right.
And the one guy's like, "Yeah, you can have my bikes." I'm like, "All right." So I picked up his bikes. And a few other people showed up with bikes, and I did it the day after my daughter was born.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, I remember that like it was yesterday. And I remember how salty you were, like, I ran the fucking club. I ran the booth. I organized everything. I made all the phone calls. And then I got to pick the motherfuckers' bikes up and deliver them too?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was a hell of an event.
Right? I was just trying to save, like somebody had to do it. I was just trying to do it. But I'm like, the last person who should have had to do that.
There were years when John and I were at that event and we were wearing 6 hats.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Where John would be like, I'm here from the VJMC. I'm here from Pride of Cleveland Scooters. I'm here from ClevelandMoto. I'm here from Moto Guzzi USA. I'm here for Royal Enfield. And it would be me and him running back and forth to 6 different booths. And it would be all the time.
And when somebody came along and said, you should be doing it this way, that way, and the other way, I'm like, this is my guy. All right. Well, then they're like, I'd just like to point out that you're not actually even a member of the VJMC anymore. And I'm like, yeah, because they didn't count all the people who I said, yeah, just go to the website. I'm not going to sign you up here.
Right, yeah.
I'm like, great, I'm not. Now you can take it over.
So the AIM Expo is for, it's not for the general public, okay? Yep. And so they've done this event all over the place. And for a couple of years, they did it in Columbus, and we had a lot of fun with that. Oh, yeah. That was great. And getting the podcasters all together in one spot. So this year, Vegas, and it's been Vegas before. And I'm sad that we didn't go last year because it was the same weekend as the gun show. Oh, yeah. Which would have been fun. Yeah. But anyway, it's not the same weekend as the gun show this year. But what was supposed to be fun, just being, roaming around the show and whatever.
You got meetings, don't you?
All my fucking manufacturers have decided, better late than never, we're going to do a booth. I mean, they must have had some extra booth space. They kind of gave away cheap. But now many of my manufacturers that I represent are doing things like dealer meetings or training.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but they're not coming forth with and by the way, your room's free.
Oh,
Yeah.
No free rent.
No free rent, no airfare. Like the old days, it was pretty... It was pretty good.
Yeah, Are they even going to fill your belly? I mean,
let's hope they throw down something, right?
They've stuffed it pretty far in the back door, so
right.
Maybe get something out of it.
So yeah, but the reason I bring this up is, we've got some friends that I've gotten some credentials for. I've helped get some credentials. Apparently, Motorcycles and Misfits, our friends there, had signed up with a few people on their roster of celebrities, meaning. Everybody at this table's had media passes before. They're not real hard to get. But apparently, Liza overstacked the deck. Uh-oh. So I had to pick up some of her scraps. Oh, boy. So apparently, Cat McLeod from Leout Escapes is now a member of ClevelandMoto. Okay. We got him. Cool. It's on paper.
There you go.
And then Matt, we do. And Matt,
I love the name, Cat
McLeod. Oh, he's a fucking Scottish motherfucker.
McLeod.
Tight like a tiger. Yeah. But he's magnificent. And then Matt from Breaking Away Motorcycle Adventures, we got him on the ClevelandMoto roster now. So take that, Pace Motorcycle Podcast.
Giving us their best players. Huh?
They are. We're getting some of their cream of their crop, and that's good. So we got passes for those guys. So, but now it's 2 weeks away, 1 week in podcast time if you're listening to this. So it is your last opportunity to somehow sneak in the doors in Vegas. But listen to this. At our shop, we are big fans of that TNT 135.
Yeah.
We kind of like that bike. We have a lot of fun with that bike. Yeah. Right here at the table, Chris has got one of those bikes. Sleepy's got one of those bikes, and I use them all the time.
Yeah. You own all of them, basically.
And I have 6 of those bikes right now.
Right.
And I get to pick whichever one I want to go play with.
Right.
But Liza's bike that we all had fun taking laps on, barrel racing at AMA Vintage Days, traveled south for the winter to the faraway land of Atlanta. Oh. And it came home recently with one of our podcast listeners. It was nice enough to bring it back from Atlanta. He delivered it to Atlanta, and he brought it back.
Wow. Was that the picture of the one you had outside that had an appendage?
It got bigger.
Yeah, I saw that.
It got bigger. And while it was in Atlanta, it put on some weight.
Yeah.
And so now our beloved little adorable TNT 135 that Liza owns is now a 3-wheeler.
Yeah, I saw that.
So it's got a sidecar on it. Yeah. And it is fucking... Now, because it showed up in a very cold day with a dead battery, which again, Atlanta, come on, plug in the fucking battery. But so I couldn't ride it around with the sidecar on it. Yeah. We took some pictures, right? But yeah, it's going to warm up in a couple of days. And then we're going out and going to have some fun with it. I was so tempted to go ruin my neighbor's yard.
Yeah.
You could go ruin the property if you want.
Yeah, right?
100%. My birthday weekend.
So I thought that was really fun. But then we got the announcement today. So the announcement today is that SSR, proud importer of Benelli into the United States, also announced today that they are now the proud importer of QJ. Now, QJ is the company that...
So importer, but not owner.
That's right. SSR, I don't know how much they own, but I know that they don't own QJ because QJ owns Benelli. So in the food chain thing, QJ is pretty high up on the spectrum. Great, super fun and cool.
But SSR has a dealership base in the United States.
So SSR is the importer, distributor, and manufacturer of many different bikes, and of which we all know a lot of their stuff. So I'm just going to, for fun, we're just going to go and have a quick look at SSR Motorsports. And, we don't have to comment too much, but just to kind of, we're talking about Chinesium. We're talking about China invading America. And very similar to the way that Germany invaded America in the 50s with motorcycles and scooters, and the way that Japan invaded America in the 60s with motorcycles and scooters. What the hell
was the fucking sound guy?
Jesus Christ. Okay, so in SSR, we're going to start with the pit bikes. Yeah, they start with a little 50cc automatic with a pull start rope on it. And then our favorite 70 around here, which is the 70 automatic with electric start and a wiring harness you can put lights on.
Grumpy Sore Guy wants a Laser 6.
Yeah, he always wants a Laser 6.
Just a heads up.
All right. So then we go into the 110s, which you can get in any way you want, which is an automatic, a semi-automatic, or a 4-speed. It gets into our favorite bike, the 125, the SR 125, which we've proved even fat old men can't kill. And that comes as a semi-automatic, an automatic, the regular SR 125, and now the SR 125 TR.
I want that.
$400 more, and you get bigger tires, bigger wheels, and it's a little more.
I think you get bigger forks too.
It's everything. It's a bigger bike, so it is a bigger bike.
Daddy likes.
It is, and it has that same venerable motor, that 125 SR motor that we like, and you can't kill.
What's that bigger one?
Okay, now we get into the SR 140, which is $200 more at $1,959.
I'm in.
And that has the same wheel and tire combination as the SR 125 TR, but instead it's got the 140 motor. Then we get into the biggest of the pit bikes, which are the 160s, a TR and a TX. Okay, the TX is more of an actual. It's hard for me to tell you what the real difference is, but the 160 TX is definitely.
The TR seems to have the higher, but more suspension.
They're.
I think that's an optical illusion.
I think that the component quality, the one SR 160 TX that we did custom order in for somebody who does race on a team, I was really impressed by the fit and finish of a $2,499 160 pit bike. Huh. Very impressed, and so it's a really nice piece of kit.
I'm not gonna lie, I think I'd be scared of that thing.
Well,
knowing how fast our 125s are, like how small it is. And stuff.
I've ripped this SR 160 around the neighborhood here. She go real good, right? She go real good, and it's a proper upside down fork in the front. It's real good. It's a good thing, right?
How much is one of those dudes?
$2,499. I know, right? But it's okay. We're not even close to being done with their lineup yet.
Too.
They got a 150cc dirt bike for $2,400.
Okay.
They got a 190cc dirt bike for $2,800.
Now we're talking.
They got a 250S, which is a trail bike, headlight and tail light. SR 250S for under $4K. They got the 300, which is a dirt bike only, for $4,600. And they've got the SR 450S, which I have ridden, and it is a monster. The SR 450S is not fucking around. And God bless them. That is $5,500. And it is a liquid-cooled, fierce dirt bike.
What's a CRF 450?
I don't know. I honestly, I don't know.
The CRF 450 is north of 10,000.
Yeah.
Over, I think it's rated
around. This is almost half.
Yeah.
It's over $10,000.
Right. Wow. All right. So anyway, if
you want the CRF 450L street bike.
Yeah.
They make not one but two 250cc street legal bikes called the XF 250X and the XF 250X Dual Sport.
Are these the same ones that Pittsburgh Pro had?
Those are $3,500.
Way cheaper than a CRF 300.
Oh yeah. Way cheaper. Now these are air cooled. They're not liquid cooled. But it's just it's a motorcycle for riding around your neighborhood.
Camp bike.
Yeah,
Dude,
exactly.
That's what you take. We should buy those for the Blue Ridge Mountain thing.
And these are
those would be perfect.
And these are $3,500, and they got a carburetor. So we're not setting the world on fire here. But just the point being that we're only on the first column, and we've already shown you 24 motorcycles.
Yeah, no,
right?
they stepped it up from like the 8 they used to have.
Right. They got 3 different side by sides. Right. I know. And now we're finally getting into the whole it's a dual sport thing. The Laser 6. God, fucking Hoffert's going to drive me up the wall with this thing. It's a moped. The Laser 6 is a moped. That's exactly what it is. It's a $1,600 moped. It has one thing going for it. It exists. So in a world where mopeds have been driven off the face of the earth due to a lack of desire and a lack of quality, the Laser 6 exists.
Yeah.
Right? I don't care what it is. I get 100 phone calls about this bike every year from people that do not know a CC from a PP and a BB, right? They don't know. They don't care. They don't give a shit. It doesn't matter. All that matters is it's a moped. The problem is the pedals are optional, and I will show you a picture of the pedals, and I'm going to tell you $10 to the first man who can pedal this bike around the block, because these pedals do fuck all.
Yeah, but also probably the transmission is not a speed transmission. It's probably just like a auto clutch.
That's what I'm thinking.
1-speed auto clutch.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's exactly
because
right.
That bike in the 50cc, they say goes 23 miles an hour.
So it is a moped for people who for some reason aren't allowed to or aren't going to get a motorcycle endorsement and think this is what they want. And my argument still holds true. If this is where you are, if this is how you're spending your money, just go ahead and get a fucking electric bicycle and admit it, right? At least then you'll be silent. Nobody will hear you coming. So nothing wrong with that. So that's the moped that exists. And again, nothing to get excited about, but it is the Laser 6 and it does exist. And honestly, it's not bad looking. And this is the thing that Hoffert wants, the Japanese version of it.
Yeah, he wants the Honda Solo.
The Honda, yeah.
The Honda Solo.
Yeah, so he wants the Honda Solo. This is the bike that costs half as much money, but it exists.
Probably a fraction.
Right, it exists. So electric, they got all kinds of silly stuff. They got balance bikes, electronics, quads.
Those tiny little quads would be fun.
They might be fun. Electric, right? It's good for the little kids. Gets them going. They just launched a row of 4 bicycles. All right. Nothing really crazy here. All right. So that's SSR, guys. So just so you know, that's SSR. It's not like they're out there with 3 bikes in somebody's garage.
Did they do on-road stuff or no, just those dirt bikes?
Well, we'll get to that. Oh. So yeah, that's good though. That's good. Well, they used to do the Rascal. Remember the Rascal?
Yeah.
You know why they don't do it anymore?
It sucked.
It sucked.
Yeah, right.
Right. They got rid of it. They used to do
the Misfit,
the Buccaneer 250, which is a fucking high price for corn, right? They used to do the Buccaneer 250, and you know what? They got rid of it. You know why?
Wasn't good.
It sucked.
Yeah.
All right. And the Buccaneer was a V-twin.
Yeah.
I know.
I remember that.
Okay, they got rid of it though.
Marini 2.5 or 5.
Right. That's exactly right. But they've been doing Benelli. and we all know Benelli, right? I mean, that's nothing surprising about that. Benelli's been, I'll give you the dealer's perspective on Benelli. The TNT 135, God's gift to mini bikes, right? Seriously. If the Grom was better, I would have said the Grom was better and made a lot of money putting parts that exist on Groms. Right. Instead, I'm selling TNT 135s, not making any money because parts don't exist to add on to a TNT 135. You know, there's 17 catalogs of parts you can put on a Grom to make it almost as good as a Benelli 135. The Benelli is already better than that, so they don't need buckets of parts to make it better.
And the weird part is that it's almost like they had actual engineers. So then when you start fucking around with it, you might make it worse. I'm just saying.
Well, maybe. And we can prove that happens, right? But the Grom started, with a very 2-valve motor. And anyway. So we know that we love the Benelli TNT 135. The Benelli 302S, okay, so the Benelli 302S is a 600cc motorcycle with a 300cc motor. That's what I'm going to say. If you went out shopping and you said, I'm looking for a CBR 300, okay. I'm looking for a Ninja 300, okay. What about that Benelli? Well, if you like the CBR 300 and you like the Ninja 300, you're going to love the price on the Benelli. But it's like the Benelli's been eating too much for too long. The Benelli is bigger and heavier. And whereas we always say that the CBR 300 and the Ninja 300 are 7/8 scale motorcycles, this is not. This is a full-size motorcycle. So if you say, I'm a normal-sized big person and I want a normal-sized big person's motorcycle with a very small motor, this is what you buy.
Well, I mean, they probably did that just for tooling, right? Like, they don't have to have two of everything. It's the same as the 600.
Right. It's the same as the 600, okay? Except for the fact that the 600 doesn't exist anymore. Oh, so they took the TNT 600 out of the lineup. And that was a 4-cylinder. And, we sold 0 of those. We sold 2 of the 302s, maybe 3. Right, maybe 3. And the 302S is under $5,000, so $48.99. These numbers are going to come in later, so you might want to remember 300 cc's under $5,000.
Right.
Okay. And then the adventure bike we loved, but were confused by the TRK 502X.
Right.
And the TRK 502, which is the normal 17-inch wheeled version of it. And the TRK 502X, which is basically 1/3 of a BMW GS, 1250 or whatever.
But with all the schnozzle.
Oh, it's got all of it. And I mean, yes, it does win the I look just like the other one competition, right?
Yeah,
it sure does, right? Okay, and for a price of $7,000, give or take, right? Yeah. Okay, 500cc bike. My review of this bike is when you put all the luggage on it, the aluminum transportation storage system.
$250.
She not to go too fast.
No.
That this bike at freeway speeds with no luggage, delightful.
CBR or CB500X, 7,700.
Yeah, right.
How much is the 502?
So the 502 is $7,100.
And was that a twin or a single?
This is a twin. Yeah.
That wasn't me.
Yeah.
That was your twin.
But I mean, this has all the stuff. It's got, 47 horsepower. It's got fuel injection. It's, 34 foot-pounds of torque.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad bike at all.
It wasn't a bad bike, but when you put those giant fucking boxes on it,
it could use the extra 300.
Then all of a sudden it was like, God damn, this thing's got no power.
But they fixed it for this year, right? Didn't they?
Well, we're going to talk about that. They did fix it, strangely enough. They did fix it. But they might not have fixed it the way that we thought they were going to. Because we all read stories and articles about a Benelli 750.
Or an 802.
Or an 802 or a 902.
Yeah.
Right? They like those 02s, right? But we see that that's not really here on the website just yet. Nope.
What about the Leoncino?
What about the Leoncino?
I thought that bike was sold.
I love the Leoncino.
It's a pretty cool bike.
The Leoncino for me hit all the buttons. One, I'm 6'1", so it was tall enough for me. Yeah. I didn't feel like I was riding somebody's stolen bike. I didn't feel like it was too small.
It felt comfortable.
The Hurst Purr was right there at 47 horsepower and 34 torques, right? It ran really nice. It drove really nice. It was a really, really nice bike to ride, and it had the right amount of power that you'd expect out of a 500cc.
I would take that easily over a Honda Rebel.
Yeah, definitely.
My only complaint about it, and it was under $7,000, $6,800. My only complaint about it was it did weigh about 50 pounds more than a Moto Guzzi V7.
Really?
Yep, 456 pounds. All right. So it was a little bit heavy, but it was a good bike. I had no problem. We sold 2 of them. And it wasn't because we only had 2 of them. It was because only 2 people decided that was the right bike for them. Well, they didn't decide it. I decided it for them. Okay. So now.
Because you're the decider.
Well, sometimes I have to be. So now we go back to that company that bought Benelli, called QJ Motor. And QJ has been around a long time. Quan Yang sidecar rigs, thanks to Russians and the Chinese kind of splitting up Europe after the war. They had BMW tooling for the Changjang 750 and those QJ 750 sidecar rigs. Those were a thing, man. And when I was getting into this game, you couldn't move around too far without finding a QJ kicking around. So they're a real thing, and they've been around. Now QJ has, well, I should say it better. SSR has decided to represent QJ in the United States. And this is where shit gets slippery. Now, every bike I've told you about up until this point is a Chinese-built bike. Mm-hmm. Some of them have names that end in a vowel. Benelli, right? We're going to talk about more Chinese-made bikes right now, but the reason we're going to talk about them is usually Chinese-made bikes have been, right? And it may be like, this is a KTM. Don't look too hard.
Right.
Because then you discover the Chinese parts, right? And then you discover that it's made by CF Moto. And then you start reading articles about like how CF Moto and KTM are partnering.
Right.
And that's happening all over the fucking place. And it really is happening all over the place.
I mean, most of the majors are doing that, right? Honda's producing over there, and who else? So
well, everybody's
BMW,
doing
KTM.
Everybody's doing something. Yeah. So the first in the lineup is the SRF 135. Okay, I'm going to tell you, you don't even have to think about this too hard to understand immediately that this is a Benelli TNT 135.
Is it bodywork slightly different?
Yes.
Okay.
So is the location of the exhaust.
Where's the exhaust?
Underneath
shit,
it.
It's underneath.
Yep. Now, here's the trick. The correspondence I read today said that this bike will be at the Vegas AIM Expo, along with a litany of accessories and performance modifications that you may purchase from SSR for your SRF 135.
Now we're talking.
And I don't know what the parts interchangeability is going to be between this thing and a Benelli TNT 135. I don't know.
It looks pretty damn close.
It looks pretty fucking close if you ask me.
Looking at the frame and everything.
Yep. And all the numbers are there, right?
Yeah.
Now, we're going to get into price point because, well, let's give it a second and then we'll get into price point. The SRV 300. Okay. Well, this is a Sportster.
Or a Honda Rebel.
Well, I think this is a Sportster 883 shrunk down to Honda Rebel scale.
Okay, I see that.
Okay.
Now. I see that.
So I think
Definitely
this
looks
is
more like a Harley than it does a Honda.
It is a V-twin,
you're right,
not
you're
a parallel twin, right? It is not a single. It is an actual real V-twin. It actually is a real liquid-cooled V-twin. And not only is it a real liquid-cooled V-twin, it is also a fuel-injected liquid-cooled V-twin. Wow. With 30 actual horsepower and 20 torques.
That's a commuter right there.
And it doesn't hurt me to look at the way it hurts me to look at the new Rebel.
No, it doesn't. The proportion's pretty good.
The proportions are pretty fucking good.
Like it's a little cartoony, just a tiny bit, but not in a bad way. Like,
I think it looks like every Sportster sold in the past 15 years.
Sure.
Yep.
The tank looks better actually than a Sportster.
I actually think so too, and I don't see a seam on it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have the telltale I'm a Japanese bike seam on it. So this might be a thing, right? This might be a thing. Don't know for sure yet, and we don't know what the price is going to be. But
yeah, that's pretty cool.
Kind of cool looking, right?
Everybody drink a drink for my birthday, please.
That's right. For John's birthday?
There we go.
There we go. Hey. Hey.
John's birthday month.
I could give a shit less about the SRK 400.
Yeah.
Because it's just the Benelli 302 with different bodywork. And remind you, this is the motor that's in Harley's new 500 or 400.
Right.
So this is the motor that Harley Davidson is putting in their new Harley Davidson 400.
Well, isn't that the bike though too, or no? Is it more of the Benelli?
Slightly modified bodywork.
Okay.
So Harley Davidson's not using this same gas tank. Okay.
Right.
This is, don't call it a CBR 400RR because I think you might get sued.
Oh, yeah.
But it sure looks like a Honda CBR 400RR right down to the choice of paint color.
I mean, like, look, you could even change the Rondell out there and put the Honda one on, and it was like fuller.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, you put a little bird wing in that place where that RR is, and you got a fooler. Anyway, price unknown. And then the one that we're here for today.
So do you think that motor would be built the same motor that's like in the GN 400? Like the XR 400 motor, or no? It's totally new.
I think, well, it's
liquid cooled.
Totally liquid cooled. Yeah. Totally different valve train.
Hey.
Dual air can.
Who cut the cylinders off the BMW? That's the fucking Urban, dude.
This is an R9T.
Yeah, Urban.
But I think this is the R5T.
Yeah, they just cut the cylinders
I think this is the BMW R5T.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's the similar. Well, no, that's probably not the same motor that's in the Leoncino.
I think they're all the same motor with a slightly different stroke. And I think that's how you pick up. Because I think if we look at the bore and stroke, different strokes for
sometimes the stroke
70.5 versus 71, right? That's 7.5 versus 71. And then if we look at this motor, right? The stroke is 7.5 and 51, right? So that's the difference. So you got your bore stays the same. It's the stroke that changes. So this motorcycle with the 400cc motor has the exact same bore as this motorcycle.
Now you're boring me.
Yes. This motorcycle is also 70.5 bore, but it's got a much longer stroke. So that's the difference. That's how you get the CC difference between the two machines. Yeah. One's got a long stroke, one's got a shorter stroke. No big deal. What do I have to say about the SRV 550?
It's a good looking fucking bike.
It's a fucking good looking bike.
Yeah, man. It looks just like a BMW that they cut the cylinders.
And would I rather...
Is it going to come with QJ logos, or is it going to come with Benelli?
And so, would you rather ride this or the Benelli Leoncino?
I'd rather ride that, but I want the Benelli name on it.
And so this is what I want to get to. When you price these bikes and your SSR, do you admit that the Benelli name is part of the value package of the motorcycle?
Hell yeah, because
the
Benelli name's hoarded out already. I mean, might as well.
The Benelli name has been on people's lips since 1911. Yeah. QJ Motor.
Not so much.
Sounds a lot less Chinese than QJ Motor.
Yeah. So that's my question.
And the thing is that if these bikes, which we know they're probably going to be as good, if not better, than the TNT 135, right? So, I mean, like, when you have that good of a thing, though, then people can't deny them. You know what I mean? It's not like it is a piece of shit.
We all made fun of the name of a Buddy 125 scooter.
Yeah, right.
We all had a good fucking laugh. They named it Buddy?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Not selling any of those to hetero upright walking males. Nope. And
10,000 later.
And and it turns out, it earned its place, right? Yeah. The Buddy scooters have earned their place.
I would recommend the Buddy 125 to every person on this planet.
Absolutely. If you don't have one, you're missing out. Whatever you ride. Yeah.
I don't care what you have, you should still have a
Buddy 125.
I agree.
There's a job for that bike, and it'll do it. Now, here's my question. If you're SSR and you're trying to enter the United States market with a product beyond your fun little pit bikes that everybody loves.
Right.
Right? Okay. We know that they're how much, Chris, was the Benelli Leoncino, the 500? What was our price point on that little bike? Did you? I saw you writing some stuff down. You might have been writing that down. 71 Hondo? Yeah. Was that it? So if we...
You said the 502?
The Benelli. The Leoncino. Was that Leoncino on
there?
You know
what? I didn't check.
You didn't get the Leoncino? All right.
I thought it was like 56 or something.
Well, we're going to find out because I can open up two screens at one time. It's no big deal. But here's the trick. If you're the buyer and you're out there looking at buying a motorcycle and you want to buy a 500cc motorcycle, which describes a lot of fucking people, and we say the Leoncino is going to set you back $67.99, 6,800 bones. Okay? What price do you need to buy the SRV 550, which says QJ on the side? They're both similar bikes. They're both super retro, right? They're both fuel injected. They're within a hair of 500 cc's.
Personally, I wouldn't care. Personally, I wouldn't give a shit.
So to you, Benelli and QJ, they might as well have the exact same price point.
But that's because I know now from being here, I know the background. So
I was going to say, you're an informed consumer to the point where you know that Benelli.
Yeah, right. So I mean, I don't
might as well say QJ.
So I can't but knowing that for several years now, how many times a company used a name and then you find out it's actually.
I'd buy the Leoncino because yes, it has the Fuller name, it has the Benelli name.
I don't care,
even though I know it's made by the same manufacturer. If I ever go to sell it, it's going to be easier to sell a Benelli. Than a QJ.
But for how long?
Now, if you put the Benelli name on both bikes, I'm taking that bike.
Yeah, totally. But here's the thing, though.
Absolutely.
If this company, if they bring these in and they're as good as the bikes have been, that name's not going to be a bad name. Mm-hmm. It's going to be like SSR proved itself. Now, when people talk about pit bikes, a lot of people say, "Oh, my SSR."
All I have to say is a name like QJ Motors has a long way to dig.
It has a long way to dig.
It
does. That has a long road ahead of it.
I agree to that, but I'm just saying, that
has a long road ahead of it.
Not a one word. It's not a. It's no. It's no.
They just say QJ. They don't.
You know what? Yeah. I would rather own the Fiat than the Yugo.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, I would rather own the Fiat than the Yugo.
If they called it Stallion Motors, if they called it,
it's a good argument.
If they called it Mustang,
sure.
Right.
Whatever,
I feel
like something. But when you call it QJ Motors,
and since they own Benelli anyway, why don't you just?
It's just.
Right, yeah.
Why don't you just spread that badge around a little bit?
I wonder if there's any legal reasons why they couldn't.
In Europe, this bike is 6,790 euros.
If you own Benelli, you can put it on anything you want.
So
in 6,790 euros.
Yeah. So this bike is $72.93 US dollars. So in a current exchange rate, the Benelli.
So that's more than the Leoncino.
Well,
72 versus 6,800.
Yeah. Again, about 400. Yeah, 400 higher.
It's CB500X money.
Yeah. It is all CB500X money.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I'd still buy a Honda first.
That's right. And you are exactly right. When you have to say, we are in this market.
But here you go. Go buy a CB500X because I don't think they don't have inventory. So you might be looking at another.
Let's go buy that one.
You go buy that one over there. It's
right, but a new one. I mean, they might have another summer of no inventory. Right. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't. That's a damn good question. But as long as Leoncino, as long as Benelli,
because what? Oh, that's 72.
$72.99.
I mean, shit.
No, it's the look. I'm telling you, the Leoncino is $67.99. The CB500X is $72.99. That's $500, and that's tough, man. You have to look at yourself in the mirror, and you got to say, we are only $500 less than Honda.
And here's the problem: this dude might have an inflated ego.
Yeah,
because he brought in quality pit bikes that were literally less than half of the other. Real bike.
Yeah.
So he built this thing up.
That's a huge advantage.
Right. But now that's gone. With these prices.
You can't buy a Honda 70 for less than $2,500.
Nope.
Right.
Yep. Exactly.
That's my point. So to make this work, if you wanted to have them blowing out the doors, you got to get the prices down, man.
So if I were QJ. QJ. I have to keep reminding myself of that.
Right.
So if I were QJ.
Well, it depends what day they identify which.
Well, if I were QJ. And I had somebody working for me who was a realist. And I was talking to the guys at SSR about distributing my product in the United States. Yeah. I would be a realist and say, we have established traction already in the marketplace with Benelli. Mm-hmm. These QJs will all be branded Benellis. All of them. Mm-hmm. Every single one of them. There's going to be some overlap with the SRF 135 and the TNT 135.
So you're proud of the efforts you've made, and you're eager to put your name on your product.
That's right.
Don't.
I get it. Have a realistic moment. Right now, in this country, Kymcos were sold all through the 80s to Americans who thought they were buying Hondas. Y'all did it. Y'all bought a Honda CH150 Elite. You bought a Kymco. It had a Honda badge on it. Congratulations. You earned it. You do that. You go with the marketing thrust. You go with where the energy is. And at this point, doing the QJ now takes some thunder away from Benelli. Especially if they're coming from the same dealer, the same distributor. They're going to be in all the same exact dealerships.
You're gonna be like, well, yeah, it's QJ Motors. Same as Benelli. We own Benelli.
Exactly.
Now you're just going to tear down Benelli.
Right.
You're not
now,
lift Benelli by attaching them to QJ.
Damn, that's right. It was the great Cosmo Kramer that sent around the cats out of the bag, right? Yeah. That's exactly what happened. That QJ is going to steal from your Benelli credit. Yeah. Put a Benelli badge on all these motherfuckers. It's your company. Run it the right way.
Put a pillowcase over her head.
Look.
Brown bag it.
You are only $500 below the CB500X with your Leoncino. And as the guy who was being forced to sell them, I can tell you weren't far enough from a CB500X based on the sales that we lost over and over again to guys who brought their CB500X in here for me to service it 1,000 miles later for basic service. So that didn't work. That plot of being 500.
Because I don't care what you say. Yeah. You're not going to tell me a Leoncino is better than a CB500X.
No.
Sorry.
Right.
Great.
You could.
Probably a really nice bike.
And you could measure things and you could prove to me that the forks are thicker. You could. You could show me that the welds are nicer. I looked. They are. I could point out 10 different things on a Leoncino that are nicer than a CB500X. Yeah. But you know one of them that isn't is the badge. And the reputation behind the badge. And 90,000 Honda dealers.
Time building a deep level of trust.
Absolutely. Ride red, right? Yeah. Look, man.
Generations of Honda, that, and the other thing have been known for being the most reliable you can buy.
Yeah. Yep. I don't think you can buy a Kymco.
They gave up a lot of performance to be
they did.
Most fucking reliable they could,
Absolutely.
And so they're where they are because they've put themselves.
Yeah, I think two things have to happen. One is that all those QJs need to be badged as Benellis and have a big old Benelli party and have only Italian people there. Okay? And only serve Italian food.
Supermodels, man.
That's right. Yeah, they'll all be smoking with hairy arms. Okay, so then on top of that, you make sure that the price point is...
They go out with their boyfriends, probably.
Yeah, well, boyfriends have more expensive haircuts. You make sure the price...
Less hair.
You make sure that the price point is way the fuck under whatever competes with it.
Yeah, right? You have to do that.
Because the TNT's been a sore dick deal since the day it came out.
Yeah. I'll be honest, the average American chiseler, if it's a solid $1,000, it would swing them.
Game on, baby. Why do you think people are buying TNT 135s instead of Groms? They ain't in here measuring the forks.
Nope.
No.
$1,000 cheaper.
They're not in here looking at the oil cooler. They're not in here looking at all the things that really do make a TNT 135 a better bike than a Grom. No. They're looking at the fucking price tag.
I'll be honest, I had to hammer the shit out of your bike.
I know you did.
I hammered the shit out of that thing.
And
I quite frankly was surprised. I'll be honest, I didn't give it 100% throttle. I did the pin it.
And then back off
a little bit,
Yeah, pin it and back off an eighth.
But seriously, me on that bike going 70 mile an hour.
And just for the sake of our podcast listeners, what do you weigh?
300 and plus.
So
and
300
plus.
And plus. Yeah. But Sleepy and I, every single one we PDI'd, Sleepy and I rode him on the freeway on 480 at maximum velocities.
Bowling pin the whole time.
And we were just next to each other.
Yeah.
trying to squeeze out one blonde one in aerodynamic advantage to the point where our feet were behind us. Like, we tried every trick in the book at 70 miles per hour indicated to go to 72. Yeah. And the computer, the rev limiter was having none of it.
Yep. So 76 was at 76.
Right.
It was like,
it was an indicated 76 miles per hour. And that was truly Cannonball Baker, feet out behind us, the whole deal, chin under the gas tank, for fuck's sake. And we would get to that indicated 76, GPS 69.5, and the bike would just go, So the trick was you just had to keep it 1 RPM away from where it clipped the RPMs, and then you could beat the other guy. Because you knew the second that he touched that rev limiter, he was shut down.
And it takes forever to recover.
It takes forever to come back.
I learned this on the Lake Erie Loop. I mean, like, you keep it pinned. You don't hit your rear brake if you have to, but you don't let off the throttle.
Don't ever give up revs.
Because as soon as you let off the throttle and blip it,
now you're downshifting.
You are so further. You're absolutely so much further ahead. If you need to slow down on a little bike, sit up for a second.
Oh yeah.
Just change your aero package a tiny bit. Change your aero package a tiny bit and then get back down again. Or, like you said, breathe on the rear brake.
Dude, the one time we were next to each other and I was like, I was going for it, man. I was eating the gas tank, looking through the fucking handlebars. And like, you're not kidding. So like, I had the ClevelandMoto jacket on with the hood, and the hood was pulled down, and at one point it went back and became a parachute.
Yes.
No. And you just lost 2 miles an hour. You were like,
I passed you as soon as I saw your hood flip up on your jacket. I was like, that's all I need. That was it. Because otherwise,
I mean, like, aerodynamics, like humping your back up a little bit, trying to get the air.
I got one arm behind my back. I'm riding with one hand, one arm behind my back.
This is at 5 o'clock in rush hour traffic.
Rush hour traffic.
Elbows
totally
in.
skinny the fuck up. And Sleepy and I, each one of these bikes, and I mean, we moved 18 of them, right? 2 at a time. So we moved 18 bikes, 2 at a time. We had 9 sets of test subjects. What I can tell you about the people at the factory at Benelli, QJ, motherfucking tolerances are tight.
Yeah.
Because these 2 bikes had 0.0 miles on them when they left the shop.
Yeah.
And went straight to the rev limiter for in excess of 10 miles.
Yeah.
At maximum chat. And then came off the freeway.
Beautiful.
It was like, yep, we know those are broken in.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, they're good. Those are real good. And it's either a tribute to the engineers who decided to put the rev limiter in exactly the right spot.
Yeah, they killed it. That is insane.
Yeah. And then he comes in and goes, you guys, everyone says the top speed on those is 70 miles an hour. That's bullshit.
Yeah, that dude, yeah.
That's bullshit. They won't go 70 miles an hour. They won't get us living. I'll call Sleepy up and be like, Sleepy, I'm 6'1", I'm 210 pounds. Yeah. Sleepy, what's your dimensions?
5'9", 230.
Okay. And how fast did the bikes go? Indicated 76 miles per hour.
All of everyone.
It was so funny. Matter. We would get them to 74 indicated. Life would be good. We would just kiss that 76 and everything would go away.
Yeah, that would be it, man.
That was it.
And it didn't matter. It was really weird, too, because it didn't matter if we were level.
No.
Or slightly uphill.
Or slightly downhill.
It didn't matter.
It didn't matter. No, the electronics were the only thing involved, right? That was it. We had those bikes. And so if it seems like we're kind of fans of the TNT 135 around here, it's because every time we do something with them, they earn our respect a little bit more.
And I thought about it. You know how you probably beat 76? Downhill, when you hit 75 and a half, you got to clutch it.
Oh, clutch it.
And let it roll. And then you might go, because we never got over 76.
I
don't know. Do you dare try to defeat the rev limiter?
The only thing you'd be able to do would be to change the final gear ratio. And we've had so many of our friends try to do that, to alter the gear ratio. And it makes it way worse. One tooth fucking fucks the whole game up.
But that dude, remember Captain Cool that was here was like, well, I'm definitely changing the rev limiter. I'm going to take it at least to 16,000 and all this shit.
Oh, yeah.
We never heard from that dude.
No, we never did. You're right. That guy had some big plans.
Yeah, he did.
And I mean, they make all that shit. You can buy that stuff for the TNT 135.
You can put a bigger carb on it, but it's just going
It's fuel injected.
It's still, It's
fuel injected. But they make an ECU.
No, but they have
that wouldn't work anyway because it's just going to take it up to that RPM.
Well, the ECU's got
You have to change the gearing. and then make more
Well, that's
horsepower.
what. So they sell a 156 head.
Yeah.
And then they sell the Bazer or something like that ECU where you can program it and you can set it up.
You can
yourself.
set your own shit up.
And at that point, then you change the gearing.
Yeah.
And
I wonder where it was set to hit the rev limiter. 10.5?
Nope, 10.
10. Like we said, 10.
Oh, you could go to 11.
So no, my
problem.
maximum. No, I think we said it was like 10,100.
Yeah.
So like 10,100.
Yeah,
you could sit all day long at 10.
You could have a 11,000 rev limiter on that motor.
You could have a 15,000 rev limiter on that motor. I have no doubt that motor would spin at 15K.
If you were racing, you could really pump that.
But the point being, it's a production vehicle. They're going to be conservative anyway. So that's all it is. And
which with the people buying them was probably a really good decision.
It's a really good idea. The way I see people leave my parking lot at all 10,100
you
RPMs.
two idiots rode them.
That's true. We resemble that remark.
Straight out of the wrapper.
Yep, straight out the wrapper. But anywho, yeah, I do. I mean, I did want to say that. Just label them all as Benellis, man. Yeah. Don't dick around.
You got
There'll be time in your future.
Free fucking pump action shotgun too.
Yeah.
No, but check it out. So this was a pretty good example of like I had my mind.
They're still selling Benelli shotguns, right?
Different company, but yeah.
And we had a pretty cool conversation about it, and I've actually changed. I agree with you guys.
See, and that is a great example.
Yeah.
A decent, convincing argument. Yep. You know, we can change our mind. So
I've just been wrong so many times in my life. I know not to get too invested in it in my own fucking. I'm like,
ain't that the truth, man?
I've proven myself wrong.
Ain't that the truth?
Like, don't go too far down there.
Yeah.
You might fucking not like.
I've had a couple of Benelli shotguns, and they were straight up the greatest shotguns I've ever owned. And then I also tried one very, very expensive shotgun. Thank God I didn't own it, and the barrel came off. And I was like, oh, maybe not. But you know, the Benelli M4, that is the beloved shotgun of the United States Marine Corps.
Yep.
That is the one. And, you know, it's...
But that's still an Italian company.
Or
no?
I'm not going to say that.
Who the fuck?
You know, I've had to become very careful about saying things like, yes, that's from Italy, when in fact... I just have learned to say, I've learned to say it sure is an Italian sounding name. There's a lot of heritage behind that name, John. That's it. Just like, you know, Ithaca or Savage or you know, these things that we've kind of grown up loving and thinking were great. And then we find out, oh shit, this particular version of that particular thing. What year you buy. Well, and it's also this particular model of that particular thing might have come from China. And, you know, that's the jam.
You know, we're into the guitars. I mean, you can buy a Korean Alvarez, a Japanese Alvarez, or a Chinese Alvarez.
And a lot of those make a huge difference.
Yeah.
I mean, thousands of dollars of difference.
Yeah.
Hey, I'd just like to take this moment to once again recognize our birthday boy here, Mr.
That's right, John.
Hey. Want to hear a joke?
Always want to hear a joke.
An old retired sailor put on his uniform and went down to the waterfront once more for old time's sake. He found a prostitute and went up to her room. Draping his sailor suit across the bed, he was going at it as best he could for a guy his age and asked, "How am I doing?" The prostitute said, "Well, sailor, you're doing about 3 knots. "How's that?" he said. "Well, you're not hard, you're not in, and you're not getting your money back."
I love it. That's a fucking great joke, man. That is a goddamn.
And I like the way how many times I've been doing 3 knots. This McElfresh is not giving me my money back.
Well, you're not getting your money back.
It's your birthday. What are you doing? What do you got plans? What's going on?
Well, one thing I don't have planned is Mrs. McElfresh. So I came home from work today. She said, "You got a present for your birthday. It's called my period."
Oh, yeah, there you go.
And here you thought you were getting a bag of pennies.
So I'll just have to suffer with a really good blowjob.
And they have to up the iron content. Yeah.
We can still work it out.
You know what, though?
And Chris did offer Mrs. Smith. So
hey, do you know what the
period anymore?
The Benellis are, in fact, 100% made in Italy.
Oh, yeah.
So it is, yeah. Benelli Army SBA is, in fact, made in Italy. So that's great. So I did look, and that is one of those things that it's like one of those companies that says we're very proud of the fact that I've heard somebody recently say that, oh, well, the brakes on my bike are Brembo, so they're Italian. And I went, no. No. Not even the ones that actually say Brembo on them are made in Italy.
Dude, speaking of brakes, did you see?
Lost when Colt got sold out and there's no longer an American company.
That's true. Yeah.
Did you see Tesla was putting fake brake rotors on the rear of their cars?
What you talking about, Willis?
They ended up changing. They had some distribution changes. So the rear brake calipers used to be like this fucking big. And then the new ones were only this big, but they didn't want anybody to know it. So they manufactured and installed covers over them to make them look like the original.
Oh, so either you couldn't see them or the covers made them look bigger than they were.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Classy guy. Eli. They just keep getting better and better.
Hey, man. That's it. There you go.
I wonder, though, I mean, like, why aren't brake rotors, why are they left open to the elements, especially here? Because, like, my car, if it rains,
the rust.
The first 10 feet, when I drive down the road, it's like,
yeah.
Like, why are they not enclosed in some sort of cover, like an enclosed chain on a Honda?
Exactly, right.
Well, how would you cool them, though? Now you got all the heat.
Or why aren't they stainless steel?
A lot of them are. Some of them are, depends on what, I was going to say, depends on what.
Brakes from Harbor Freight.
I was going to say, depends on what industry you're in. But yeah, in private and personal cars and shit like that, it's because they want you to replace them, and we're not. Yeah, look,
John's like, I bought the 4-pack off eBay for $12 and they're rusting on the car.
When I was a kid growing up, I
did buy the black and like the hardened supposed to be better, and all they did was like the layer that's black peeled off and made this it was stupid. It was like, I would have been better off with just fucking plain old fucking rotors.
Right.
When we were younger kids and we didn't have a lot of money to spend, when you did buy rotors for your car, we knew in our neighborhood, that you bought TRW.
Oh, yeah. Some nickel in there.
Right? So you bought TRW because, one, they're a Cleveland company, and most of your old man's friends worked there or whatever, if you're on the east side like we were, right? But the other thing was that they were just going to hold up better. Yeah. And even if, if you had a Ford, you didn't buy Motorcraft rotors, you bought TRW rotors, and et cetera, and the whole deal.
Buy boob.
Also fantastic. And it was a Cleveland thing that we bought TRW. Well, when my Tundra chewed through its first set of brake rotors, the ones that Toyota put on it, and it chewed through them at about 46,000 miles, no big deal. So I was like, I'm going to go get some of them TRW rotors again and put TRW rotors on it. I put the TRW rotors on it. They were wavy gravy, warped to shit, useless at about 24,000 miles. All four were just kind of like, I thought my ABS was engaged all the time.
This is perfect because you just made me think. And I just thought, I'm coming full circle.
Yeah.
Here my dad worked in the automotive field for
and you're
41
working
years
in the
at
automotive
TRW,
field.
and now I'm basically at the company that, TRW is no longer.
Yeah.
And we sell shitty shit too.
And I thought it was so bad that I got these TRW. I was so angry at these fucking brakes. And so when I went back in, and I talked to my buddy who's like Toyota race guy. And I said, I bought these fucking TRW. He goes, oh, no, TRWs are crap now. He goes, you got to stick with Toyota manufactured. Toyota branded brakes is what you need. I was like, man, I was trying to be cool. And he's like, don't oversmart us.
How cheap they got. You can't even get a rotor turned anymore. Like back, remember the old days? You can get a rotor turned. Yeah. It's just a cost versus loss.
It's the fucking simplest thing you could build. I mean, it's a plate made out. It's a plate of steel. It really doesn't have to be too much involved. It's like shit. In a pinch, you could build one in your garage.
As basic as fucking rotors are, motorcycle rotors are one of the most obscenely overpriced things in the world.
Yeah, right.
There is less metal. Suspicious grades of metal.
Yeah.
They don't do a lot. It's one nice cut pressing or, there's not a complicated curve on the motherfucker. That's all it is. Yep. And they're 120, 140, $200 for one, and your motorcycle's got three.
Right.
When you look at a car or truck rotor that is far more complicated to make.
But they're all mild grade steel though.
Depends on what you're buying. Yeah. And if you get you get a mild steel or you get a coated, but you can also get a stainless steel and you can spend a couple of bucks. Motorcycle brake rotors are ridiculous.
A ceramic rotor.
You can.
Yeah.
I will show you 70. There's a motorcycle right there that's got ceramic rotors on it, that BMW. So, yeah. So I'm pretty sure that's got ceramics on it. It should.
They probably don't.
S1000.
View of it right now.
S1000 RR? It might not. Yeah, you're right. That's production. You're right.
Silver ceramic, I could be.
Yeah, no, you're right. It would have to have another R in it somewhere. Yeah, I think you're right. But I thought for sure that one had ceramics on it. But it does not.
It's not the pirate edition.
It is not. So that's about that. Anybody else got anything else?
Nah, it's just John's birthday, man.
It's John's fucking birthday.
I got some.
Yeah, what you got, Chris?
So I got a call from Riders
Share. Right. Yeah.
So I was talking to this guy. And so I had gotten 3 calls. They left 2 messages. I called them back.
Yeah.
And so the first question is, how are they getting? The guy calls, leaves a message. I want to talk to you about your motorcycle.
I'd like to talk to you about your car warranty.
Right.
Well, right. And we all got plenty of those. But now, how are they identifying that? Because I thought back to probably about 1987 when I got a postcard in the mail from somebody here locally saying that they wanted to buy my Japanese motorcycle.
Yeah, it was Joe Veal.
Phil turned you in long ago.
Tell me about Joe Veal.
Well, so we've got a local fellow here in Cleveland who has been putting ads on the internet and ads on the side of signposts and ads on...
this is back in like 80...
I did that for a while.
1990.
Yeah, I mean, I did that. I stole his move.
Because I got a postcard in the mail.
From you. From me.
From you.
Yeah, I know. I was stealing Joe Veal's move. Yeah.
So how'd you
get that from him?
How'd you get my info? You cocksucker.
I think I literally...
a couple motorcycles, you dickweed?
No, not
it was
at that
before
point.
He
did that. No, I think...
cocksucker. I'll fuck you up.
No, I think it was...
my good friend over there.
I think it was because your house was within 20 blocks of my shop.
You had to go through the BMV to get some.
No, I didn't. No, I don't think I did. I think I literally
when
went...
you fill up those constant contact cards he's got here,
This is before I
fill one of those out.
No, but this was before I knew Phil.
Yeah.
No, but you could have been at the IMS show and you filled out, I want to win that motorcycle.
Let's
and you
just
fucking
say life
put your
didn't
name in.
exist before you met Phil.
We did.
Well, that's true.
We did. And
That's what Mrs. Smith says.
And we did, in fact...
I know, she tells me.
You whispers it.
We did some aggressive marketing in the early days. And one of the things we sent was a postcard saying, if you've got one of these 26 different types of motorcycles, I'd like to buy it. And I stole it.
Under 500 cc's or under 400 cc's, something like that.
And we had picked that up. We'd totally stolen that move from Joe Veal, like a local guy who buys and sells KZ1000s and stuff.
But you actually told me that you put together a box of these and ship them over to
we did
Japan.
We did Japan and we did Holland.
Because they were going crazy
went nuts for them. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, real big deal. A CB750 in Japan is worth 7 times what it's worth here.
I think he bought one of mine.
I did. Yeah.
No,
Joe Veal did. Joe Veal absolutely did.
My green CB750, which I paid $500 for, picked it up, got it running.
Yeah.
Rode it for a long time.
Yep.
Gave me $3,500.
Exactly. I sold him a bunch of bikes. And some of them some of them stayed in America. Some of them didn't. And he was a hookup. And he was a good hookup when we'd get a CB350 or a CB500 or a CB550 into the shop. I'd put my price on it, let it be there for a month or so, and if it didn't sell at my price, I'd call Joe. And Joe would come out and pick it up. But he was aggressive, still is aggressive at buying bikes. He runs Facebook Marketplace ads and the whole deal. Great guy too. Super great guy. Never give you a bad deal. Always legit. I sold some bikes to him here a couple of months ago. So, guy's a good dude. But yeah, I mean, I did that. I was scavenging for, the internet wasn't so powerful back then.
Well,
so, need a postcard.
I'm buying this for a friend of mine, or blah, 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 blah. I'm like,
yeah.
I knew I was selling it. He was buying it.
Well, he was buying it.
He was doing it.
And he's got a friend who does the export. He doesn't do the export himself. He's got a buddy that he's bird dogging bikes for. Back to Rider's Snare, right? Rider Share. Well, yeah, I mean, you're on every list in the world now because you go to events and you put your name in and stuff, and that's how Rider Share found out that you exist. Or they bought a list from the BMV that had your information on it. And
I'll drink to that.
yeah, right? No shit. I believe me, the state of Ohio sells your information. Yeah, it's awful. Rider Share. So here in Cleveland, you can rent a Sportster Iron.
$883
for $40 a day.
So I do that just to
on that $40.
Yeah, brother. Let's take some of those down to North Carolina with us.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
I'll never
Shit out of them.
I will never buy another motorcycle in my life.
$40 a day. Here's $500. Keep the change, son.
Give me all you got, bitch.
Well, so let me tell you though, on that $40 a day, that guy gets to keep 60% of it. So he gets 24, and RiderShare gets 40%. So they get $16 just for running the website.
And if
it's a 60-40 split.
Right. And if you book the bike for more than 5 days, you get 25% off.
Yeah.
Okay. And there is you'll see this, you can sign up to get the 25% discount, but you got to do something to it, right, to do it. And then it's your trip total is $210. Now that's your trip total. You are going to be you are going to be greeted with an insurance package. You will not.
I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, amen, brother. Amen. That is a real thing. It is. There are two of these that exist in America that are probably the biggest ones, and those are going to be Twisted Road. And there's RiderShare. And they're both nice guys that run both companies. Yeah.
I have a
So
question.
it's interesting. Hang on.
Yeah, you're on.
So half of these guys say gear is included.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I'm pretty sure not for me.
They'll give you their jacket and their helmet.
within reason, right?
Pretty sure not for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's my question.
Yeah.
Does this thing, or this company have, like, I've seen most other people's motorcycles when they're riding around.
Right.
And I'm like, fuck, I can't believe that guy's riding that bike in that condition. Even though it looks nice. Like the tires are fucked and jacked, or the brakes look snaky. Like, are they having anybody inspect these things? Or are these people just saying like, oh, my bike's cool?
Yep.
So the point is that you go up to rent the bike and you check it out. If you say this is a piece of dog shit, you can turn around and walk away and not have a trouble.
Right.
And if you have your bike for rent and somebody comes walking up and you think they're a little sketchy, you can say, nah, I'm not interested. And you can walk away. So
Okay. So you guys saw on the screen where about 10 seconds ago, it was $210.
Yeah.
Right. Now what happened real quick?
I don't know.
A service fee.
We got a service fee added on of $66 hairs. Okay.
What is the service fee?
It's a service fee. God damn it, Sleepy.
It's got a question there.
This fee supports the RiderShare community platform. Service fee.
I thought they got 40.
Well, you ever booked Airbnb before, buddy?
Yeah.
Do they have a cleaning charge?
Yeah.
They sure do. Is that included in the main part of the listing of the price? Sure isn't. Hell's not. That's right. So you get a service fee. Now, do you want to use the minimum coverage? $11 a day?
That's probably suitable.
Motherfucker's got a $2,000 deductible.
Oh, no.
You got $2,000 in your wallet?
No.
I didn't think so. Don't look like a guy with $2,000 in your wallet.
No.
Do you want the standard deductible of $1,000?
You got anything better than that?
I do.
What do you got?
I do. I've got premium.
That sounds good.
That's
I like
a
premium.
$100 deductible.
I like
You only
that.
cover the first 100 in damages, right?
That's more my speed.
Okay, that's $44 a day.
Oh.
Do you remember what the rental of the bike was?
$44.
$42 a day. Okay, so let's go ahead and confirm that we're going to put some premium grade of insurance on this thing.
I love
Okay.
it. Because I'm at $80 a day.
All right.
I'm going to ride it like
So remember that $42? Do you
Yeah.
remember that $42 times 5 days?
Yeah.
And remember that $42 times 5 days was $210?
Yeah.
Now they hit you with a $66 service fee that none of us understand. It just supports the RiderShare community platform. I thought now hold on a second. I thought that's what the 40% was doing.
Right.
Was supporting the RiderShare community platform.
They could have just put like, this money is for us.
It is.
That's it, though.
All right.
Let's use your bike.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, right? So now we got our damage waiver, which gets your
John, I gotta light the cigarette.
so that now we're good, man, because we got the insurance, we got a $100 deductible. So now if I lay it over, I tip it over, I don't have to pay for the first $1,000 or $2,000 of damage.
$100.
It's only $100. It's going to cost me $100. So now my 5-day rental is now $496. Now, is that $42 a day?
That's $100.
That is $100 a day cash money. How much money of that did you get, Chris, Mr. Renter of the motorcycle?
I got 46. So math. All right, 44. Call it 40.
Did you get 40%?
No, 60.
As the owner of the bike, you got 60% or 40%?
60%, 40 goes to them.
Okay, so you got 60% of $42, right?
Times 5.
So you got $28 times 5.
Call it 25 times 5 is 250, 275.
No. You said you got how much?
60% of $40.
60% of $40 is $25.
Yep.
You got $25 a day.
5 days.
Times 5, that's $125.
Right.
So you got $125.
Yep.
They collected $496.
Call 500.
You got 125. Whose bike is it?
Well, it was mine.
For the next 5 days.
That's right. So you got $125. $25 a day.
This summer, dude, for one day.
Yeah.
So you got $25 a day.
Oh, shit.
I paid $500 to rent it. Now you know why rideshare is such a great business model. How many motorcycles does rideshare need to own?
0.
How many motorcycles does rideshare need to insure?
0.
0. Holy shit, man.
Hey.
Wow.
Me and John, we're renting Harleys for Mid-Ohio to barrel race with the whole weekend.
Because it's a $100 deductible. I'm in. So
$400, $500 to just fucking maul a bike at Mid-Ohio
and walk away.
Hey, it broke. I don't know.
On an insurance policy that isn't even attached to your real insurance policy.
Like Jackass
So your
renting
rates
that car.
will never go up.
No.
Now, hold on, John. I can make it better. I'm going to put a little cherry on top that you're going to love. For $5 more. That's $1 a day, my friends. Less than the cost of a bad cup of coffee. Yeah. For $1 a day, you can get one free tow per rental day.
You're only going to need one tow.
And up to $200 in tire repair / replacement.
Including the end of the weekend. I push it over and leave.
Yes! It gets towed back to its owner. And that guy, literally, the owner, got $25 a day for 5 whole days. And he now gets to argue with Riders Share Insurance Corporation what his Harley that you've now exploded is really worth.
Oh my God.
So,
and how much be such a good weekend.
And how much of a hurry are you now to list your motorcycle on one of these rental sites?
Oh, I'm so happy.
Thank you very much.
I'm so happy it exists, but we have to do this before it doesn't exist. Like really soon, dude.
No deposit required, my friend.
No, fuck no.
Yeah. So in case you weren't sure whether or not this is the best thing in the world.
So that's our community service bulletin for the week.
Please take advantage of it, but don't do it.
Okay. So if you do get the gold-plated insurance package with a $100 deductible, and you'll pay $500 plus your $100 deductible, it's $600 plus $5, so they even take the smoking carcass away from you, and you don't have to look at it.
I don't want to look at it.
I don't want to look at it.
In fact, don't you look at me.
It'll be in a field in Lexington, covered in a very thin blanket, next to a puddle of its own internals.
You better get there before 5 because the
Jawas come out at 5, and that shit will be gone. If it's not upright with a sold sign on it, it'll be gone by 5 p.m. when the Jawas get there. So Riders Share, right? These programs look, and I'm not saying it's a bad idea, especially if Chris had a motorcycle he desperately wanted to get rid of.
Right.
He could earn $25 a day until it gets crashed. And when it gets crashed, which probably won't take long, then he gets his motorcycle replaced. But the problem is you're dealing with an insurance company then. And I've been dealing with insurance companies for the past 2 months.
How do we like that?
Not so great.
I'll be honest, I've been joking quite a bit about this, but I believe that 99% of the people who are involved with these rideshare programs come, rent your bike, ride it relatively respectably. I mean, as respectably as they would ride their own bike.
Yep.
Sure.
I mean, do I full throttle my bike?
No.
Off of it? I do. So they're probably not going to wring the tits off of it more than I've wrung the tits off of it. So
it's okay, John. I'll be gentle on your baby. You don't have to.
You don't really have to. It has a rev limiter. It is what it is.
I haven't broken it yet. You're probably not going to break it.
No.
Yep.
So,
and that's it. And I've got a lot of friends.
The hilarious thing is you probably could rent that 883.
Yeah.
Take it down to Mid-Ohio.
Yeah.
Wring the tits off.
Yeah.
Burn the back tire off.
Yep.
Thrash it through the fucking everything that it has. Return it back to the original owner, and he'll rent it out to the next person the next weekend, and the next weekend, and the next weekend, and the next weekend.
Yep. I had about, I think at one point I had a dozen maybe bikes on, not Riders Share, but their competitor. And I did try, I had a couple of bikes on Riders Share too for a minute. And in that very short window of time, I had quite a few calls. And most of the calls sounded a lot like this. Yeah, I want to rent a Vespa. Well, they don't put Vespas. They don't list Vespas. The company Twisted Road, they don't rent Vespas for some reason. So I was like, okay. And I think they do now, but it's like a dealers only thing. But a lot of people would call and they'd be like, oh, can I rent your bike? I got a request. They put a request through to rent my bike. And my first question is, well, great. That's cool. You have a motorcycle endorsement? Well, I need the motorcycle to go take my test. No. No. And the thing is, they're not even supposed to be able to get to that point in the contract yet because these companies...
They had to lie to get there.
Thank you. This company just told me the pricing and everything for this XL 1200. You guys saw me do this. I just did all this. And at no point did it ask me to see my license number, a picture of my license, nothing. Nothing. Now, it will, when I seal the deal and I say that I want to book this ride and I accept their rider's agreement, then at that point, it's going to ask me for my credentials. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Every person that contacted me trying to rent one of these motorcycles that I had listed, I didn't feel great with. I had my doubts. I had my reservations. And it wasn't worth it for me to then get the $25 a day for this bike leaving and having miles put on it. And then coming back and thinking that I would probably have to argue with somebody, whether it's the company that took 60% of my money or 40% of my money to do the transaction, about how now the bike has $1,200 worth of damage. Yeah, exactly. So that's what to me personally, it wasn't the kind of thing that appealed to me. I have a lot of friends that use it and they've owned multiple motorcycles and they've got 4 or 5 of their motorcycles listed out at one time. I even had one guy who was like, I would like to go on the ride this weekend, but all 4 of my motorcycles are out on rentals. Good for you. And their car was out on Turo at the same time. But I am not an inherently trustworthy person because I spend a great deal of my time cleaning up other people's messes here at the shop. So
I tell you what, that's what kind of one of the things that makes you very trustworthy. If I have a mess that needs cleaning,
that is true. Yeah,
I'm show up with a tarp and some tape and rope.
At least 2 brand new shovels.
Bought
with no serial numbers.
Yeah, bought previously.
No serial numbers.
But I think this rental shit would make sense. Yeah. I know we have nice riding roads around here.
Yeah.
A little bit, but it's not like a motorcycle destination per se.
No, it's not like what we encounter in North Carolina.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Right.
But that's what I'm saying. So if you had roads like that, roads like that. Here or something, then it would make sense to maybe rent bikes because, the guys are going just to rip on those roads and come back.
Of course.
Around here, it's either hood rat shit or you're into metro parks. There's only 2 options.
And and there's a lot to be said for that.
Right. A lot to be said for where I live in Pennsylvania. I mean, if we rode to my mom's house for a day and came back or whatever, or Staple.
Yeah.
Like, I could take you an amazing.
Let's go.
Back country roads back through the fucking.
You didn't think of that last year? We were like, where are we going to go today? Come on.
Like, yeah, but it's 2 hours to get there, and then
so what?
3 hours of riding and 2 hours to get back.
That's my day.
Hey guys,
usually on a Sunday. What?
See what's on the screen?
Bikes.
I see various things on the screen.
but
Moto.
I didn't even realize these were still up.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Oh, you're okay. So it's your rideshare stuff. $129 a day.
Yeah. So I forgot. I got to admit.
I'm going to totally trash that fucking zero right there, motherfucker. Yeah.
But to tell you an idea of how unpopular this is, that either the people who are clicking on this, right? The people who are clicking on this,
hello, motherfucker.
right? Either they don't have the credentials that they need, right? But you can see where.
Well, I just renewed my driver's license, and I made sure they included my motorcycle endorsement. So
yeah.
As far as I'm concerned,
yep.
I'm credentialed all the shit.
Credentialed to hell. But so if anybody asks if I have any experience with this, I apparently have some experience with this.
Step back, because I've got a commercial driver's license.
Hey, oh, yeah. You can rent the trailer to go with it. So there you go. So, yeah, it's up to everybody. Different strokes, right? There's all kinds of stuff out there. But for me personally, $25 a day, not worth it. Not worth my money. And for the $600 a day, though, for on the Meckle Fresh program, to have the experience, check the bucket list of blowing up a motorcycle. Mm-hmm. They don't come any cheaper than that.
I don't think you do it, though. If it's got a rev limiter.
No, I think it would perform. I think the motorcycle itself would perform flawlessly until day 5.
It'll come back a little bit cooked. But it won't be blown up.
You'd be like, all the pipe is blue. The pipe is blue from the exhaust valves to the license plate.
And even on a hot start in the middle of the day, it'd be a little puff of poof. just
I'm not saying the bike burns oil, but you may want to have a quart with you.
Yeah. I say it's not a little smokier. It might not be too short.
You'll never need an oil change ever again in your life because you'll just be constantly dumping. It's a constant loss system.
Like my buddy's scooter now.
Where the rev limiter is supposed to be set.
Yeah.
No, not true, because my buddy now smokes and is dying a horrible death.
Wait, it's probably just due for a valve adjustment.
Well, that too.
Yeah, it's probably.
None of that occurred when I was riding. All occurred when you were riding.
I can wager that your buddy's valves need adjusted.
Okay.
I promise you that.
I'll be adjusted.
I can wager you do this, that I couldn't do 65 on your buddy, but you somehow were able to do over 70. So.
Well, there is a.
You're looking at me. You're pointing at me. But I'm pointing at you. Pointing at me. And to that, I say.
So,
do we have any mail?
You know what? I decided.
Do we have any female?
Hey, do we have any males whatsoever?
Male is female.
It's. I'm gonna go through it. I'm gonna have a quick look. Hey, by the way, Mark Screp Talk, $20 level. That's right. That's some shit right there. He's gonna put his money where his mouth is, and he wants to be on this motherfucker. And then we also got Dave Swearingen. Swearingen.
Dude, you need to go to the doctor, man.
Oh, really?
No, my whole biological. I've had an eruption of flora.
Oh, really?
My probiotics are kicking in, and I don't have the shits anymore.
Oh, there you go.
Nice solid turd, real stinky.
Sounds like a foul burning system over there.
Blood plug is hardened up. I've got some retention time now.
All right. On that birthday podcast, on that note,
let's go to a titty bar.
Got it wound right up.
Yeah.
They closed the Lido.
Did you notice those beers were 10%?
They're 10%.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody got anything else?
No.
John.
Happy birthday to you.
Ride fast and take chances. It's your birthday. Press the red button. Get us out of here, Sid.